I'm like, God, leave me alone. Unless you want to play Pokemon. That was my style, you know. Now, this was 8th grade when I finally got to this small town. And the second problem I had was that I became academically behind. So, at 8th grade, I was reading at a 3rd grade reading level. And it's because throughout school, I just kind of went to school for a little bit, left, moved to a new school, went to school for a little bit, left and moved to another school. So my reading teacher went up to my mom and told her, I'm a huge mama's boy. Any mama's boys in the house? Woo! Much love, like your mama. Okay, so my mom, my reading teacher asked my mom to make a decision. You can either hold them back in 8th grade, or you can spend like $4,000 to take this like accelerator private school reading and writing literacy thing after school. It sounded awful. But so my mom decided to get a second job to pay for this accelerated reading and writing so I can go to school. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah. Screw it. So I didn't have to be held back. So I went through that program and I made it into 9th grade. And after I went into high school and I knew we were going to stay here, my mom comes into my new room that I was able to paint on my own, whatever colors I wanted. And she said, EJ, we're going to stay here for a while. Make something of yourself. So now I knew that I was going to be able to call this place home. So I remember walking in my open room, walking back and forth and like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to become student body president. I'm going to, forget it, I'll become the principal. I'm not just thinking big things. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do everything. I decided to play sports. Now, the reason why I decided to play sports is because in small towns, everybody plays sports. Now, I've never played an organized sport until I got to high school. Guess what sport I tried to play? Is someone saying horse jockey? Wow, that's pretty messed up. I decided to play basketball. Now, if you guys look at me right now, I'm standing at like a 5'7", 140 pounds. I'm not made to play basketball. In 9th grade, I was like 5'2", 105 pounds, and I was balding like this already. So I was like this little old bald man in high school that no one wanted to talk to. I looked like I could eat at Denny's for free that old. I was like, Pokemon. Crazy. So, if you can imagine, paint a picture of a mini bald-headed me, I decided to try to play basketball, and I tried out for the freshman team. Guess what happened? I made the team. Everybody made the team. So I was 3rd string point guard on the basketball team. And I was still having a lot of struggles with school. 10th grade comes around. I'm still 3rd string, but now I'm the JV, so I'm carrying my position as the water boy, making things happen. Now, in my sophomore year, my mom does something that I thought was absolutely awful. Anyone who comes from divorced parents? Anyone? My mom does something that I thought was awful. Guess what she did? She got a boyfriend. Now, I'm a huge mama's boy, and I remember this day like it was yesterday. I remember we just got done lifting weights in basketball, so I was 105, probably now I was like, feeling like 115 after lifting weights. You know, I felt really manly. I remember walking into the living room, I wanted to burp because I was like, because I'm so manly. And I walked into the kitchen, and right in the kitchen was this guy. And he comes up to me, he's like, my name's Mike. Your mom told me so much about you. And I looked at him, I'm like, my mom's gonna tell me anything about you. And I decided that I'm not going to talk to this guy for an entire year, and surely they'll break up. But instead, they got married. So I was forced to talk to this guy. And the first conversation, let me tell you a little bit about my new stepdad at the time. His name is Mike. Now, Mike, him and my mom met at the factory they both work at in our small town. And Mike is a very passionate guy. So he would work from 9 to 5, but then from 6 to 12, he would work on his photography business. His goal was to become the lead photographer in our community. He says, there's no one here who does it full time. He's like, I would love to start a studio, do all the sports, weddings, proms, everything. And so that was his passion. So he's the one who taught me everything about entrepreneurship. Now, the first conversation I had with him was the summer between my sophomore and junior year. And I remember I was sitting down playing video games. Now, I'm not playing Pokemon anymore. I'm playing Call of Duty, so I'm moving up in the world. I'm still very busy because I'm eating Fruity Pebbles, and you know when you eat Fruity Fruity Pebbles. You can't leave them because they get salty too fast. So I'm eating Fruity Pebbles, playing video games, and I'm too busy to talk to anybody. So the first conversation I have with Mike goes, EJ, what do you love to do? And I immediately be like, well, bro, you're coming off a little strong. Running up and you see I'm busy. He goes, no, man, he's like, I'm 47 years old. I finally know what I want to do. If I would have known when I was your age, man, who knows where I would be. I probably wouldn't have to take this job. I could, have a photography studio, have a couple employees, and help our community. And he says, what do you love to do? And at the time, all I said is, I would like to play varsity basketball. And the reason why is because our varsity made it to state that year. So they were the cool kids in school. And I was still kind of the awkward kid. I mean, this is going into my junior year. I took the ACT in my junior year, and my 8th grade brother got a higher score than me. I didn't graduate in the top 25% like all the other college-bound students. And I didn't take one of those CLEP, pre-PE, any of those fancy classes to get me into college. So I was a very struggling time, so all I kind of said was, I want a varsity Letterman jacket. Every kid with a Letterman jacket, everyone knew who they were. So I was like, I want to play varsity basketball. So at the time, I'm sophomore year, JV. So the next day, Michael wakes me up at 7 in the morning, and he says, all right, let's start running. So we get outside, start running. I'm running, Michael's in his truck, driving, spitting sunflower seeds behind me, and I'm getting angry. I'm like, he got me up here this early, running, and he's in his car, I'm like, with your beer belly, you get out here, I'm getting mad. Now, after we get done running, he tells me to put up a ladder in front of a basketball goal and shoot shots over a basketball goal, over the ladder so I can get arc on my shot. We do this for the entire summer. I ran tons of miles. I took tons of shots. I remember doing tons of dribbling drills. And in that summer, I got 2 things. And those 2 things was, I got my first best friend, and I had a male influence in my life, which was Mike. We became really, really close. And the second thing is that by the middle of the year, I became the starting point guard on the varsity basketball team. So I learned that through leadership and through hard work, with a plan, with a vision, that things could be done. So I immediately started getting confident. I got a Letterman jacket. I was feeling good. I was feeling strong. You know how on a Letterman jacket, people get their nicknames and stuff? I put Mighty Mouse on the back of my Letterman jackets. That was my name on the basketball court. So I had a girlfriend, I won class clown, everything was going good. But I still didn't know what was next for my future. So senior year, it was one of our last games in basketball, and Mike and my mom always sat right behind our bench. Now one game I look up and they weren't there. Halftime rolls around, still not there. Fourth quarter rolls around, still not there. Now I don't remember if we won or if I played well. All I remember is that they weren't there. I get into my locker and I have a text from my mom saying, Mike had a heart attack, had to rush him to the hospital. Please come after your game, we want to hear how you did. So I get in my $600 car and I'm accelerating, maxing out at 70 miles an hour, going down the highway to get to the hospital, and there's Mike in his hospital bed. Now let me tell you that 2 weeks before this situation, he quit his job and was starting his dream of becoming a full-time photographer. He had enough clientele. He was hiring people to run the shop. He had a studio. He put a price on a new spot where he was going to have his studio. But in 2 weeks, instead of starting his dream, unfortunately, he passed away. Now I share this with you, not because I had a poopy life by no means. I believe I was just an average kid supposed to have an average lifestyle. And some of us may feel the same. I share this with you because this is a person who was passionate, who did work hard, who had all the dreams. But he passed away at a young age of 48. And as him being my father figure and seeing him, helping me out through high school, giving me a name in high school, helping me with my leadership, I saw him pass away. And that was the point where it turned around for me and saying, life is too sweet to wait on anything. So I immediately started taking action. I started a business the last semester of my senior year, doing some tutoring in a small town. It got some statewide exposure. Again, I was having horrible grades, but I ended up getting a Hispanic leadership scholar to go to any school I wanted because of my entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurship business I started in Texas. And so I applied to tons of schools in Texas, got denied, and the only school that accepted me was the University of Oklahoma. So I went to the University of Oklahoma, I graduated honors cum laude, running the Student Success Academy, which has 20 employees and is doing really well. And I speak for all across the nation and wrote the Amazon best-selling book. And all of this happened, but all of it happened from getting in a low point in my life. And that was because I had to see someone who was taking action, who should have deserved a chance to live their dream, let it slip away. So my next step for you is simple. Take action. There's no excuse to not take action. The best way to learn is by taking action. So here's now I'm going to give you my tricks of how you can start in business. Now, when you take action, you're probably thinking you have to have a lot of money. But because of technology, there's no better time to start a business. It's easy and affordable. You could look like $1 million company overnight. Some of us think, hey, let's say I want to start a bakery, a retail store. Malcolm had the clothing company. Maybe he thought he needed a retail shop. You may think you need a lot of money to start a store, but that's wrong. One of our entrepreneurs wanted to start selling cakes, popsicles, and ice cream, and she got her old bike and picked kind of a case, put a freezer in front of it, and drove around her neighborhood selling these popsicles. Now she was on the Today Show, and she can now definitely afford her own shop. But when we start an idea, you don't have to think about going big in the operation. Thinking, oh, I gotta invest a lot of money getting an office space, furniture, hire people, a retail store. You can start with a minimal viable, right here, if you're taking notes, a minimum viable product, an MVP, where you test what you're doing. So that's what she did. She was seeing, is her popsicles good? Is her cakes good? Is her cookies good? And she's walking, she's riding her bike all around the neighborhood and testing it out. This is how we can get started. Malcolm can start over the internet. So here's a great example of an MVP. You have Facebook. So when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, it was only given to those at Harvard. And this is what it looked like. It was called The Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg had his face on it. And it was only to those in Harvard, and it grew out to Stanford, Princeton, and other schools. Now, he tested it out and then expanded to where it is today. So once you have your product, so just testing. Anyone have an idea they would be willing to share? Yes.
Willing to share.
Huh?
Willing to share. You left that part out.
Oh, you're not willing to share. You have like the secret ninja to cure cancer. You don't want anyone to know. Okay. You have an idea? What's the idea?
Small knitting business.
A knitting business. Okay. So you're looking to knit for people specialized things, or knit things and then they buy them from you. Both. Okay. So you can definitely start that in your home, over the web, building a Facebook group, getting out there. You don't have to buy a retail shop or anything. So you already know that. You said start small. The best thing to do is start small. So you need business cards though. So a great way to get business cards is Vistaprint. You can get 500 free business cards at Vistaprint for signing up. And I think if you pay like $5, they'll take the Vistaprint.com off the back, and you have business cards. So that's an action step you can take right after this event. Creating a website. Websites used to cost thousands of dollars, but now we have organizations, businesses like WordPress.com, Facebook.com, Pages, Yola, Wix, and you can go to these and create your own website. Good? You got a question, bro? Okay, so you can create your own website to help you start your business and build on the web. So now you have a website, you have your MVP, your minimum viable product that you're testing, and you have your card. You did all of this, and so far you've probably spent around $20. Now you need to take money. So in order to be a business instead of a hobby, you have to make money. Now, anyone ever heard of Square? Is Square? Square? Cool. So Square, I think it's what, you go to squareup.com? Squareup.com, and they give you, if you have a smartphone, an Android or an iPhone, they give you this white thing for free, and then they'll mail it to your address, and you can take money from your phone. So instead of having to buy a merchant account and get one of those big old bulky machines and having to pay lots of money for that, that's an affordable way to start taking money. So you have business cards, you have a website, and you sign up for Square. This is all you can do, literally, in 30 minutes after this event. Sign up for Vistaprint.